Hi, hello. Today we're going to be talking about the 5-star shiny Chien-Pao raids, and I know I'm a couple days late. I just did a week-long subathon, and I'm trying to catch up on stuff. I have some raid builds for you, and you're probably like, Steve, why are you doing raid builds? We've already done it a million times. I think there's still value in this video based off the testing I did, and I think at the end of the day, it's still interesting. Maybe you'll learn something. That's kind of the whole point of my raid build videos, is even though you might have already picked a different Pokemon or you might have already done the raid, I still like to do the video and then hopefully you walk away with some knowledge. So that's what we're doing here today. So I think it's still worth watching, even if you've already done the 5-star Chien-Pao. Is it Chien-Pao? Chien-Pao? I'm not sure how to actually say it. That's okay. This raid goes until Sunday, August 17th. And then I'm assuming once we hit the 1 million, which I think we'll hit 1 million for all of it, since it ends on Sunday the 17th, that means the distribution should be available on August 22nd. If you're watching this on August 7th when this comes out, and it would have came out on August 6th, except I lost all the audio to this video, and this is my second time re-recording it. Shiny Wo-Chien should be available on August 8th, UTC, which should be as early as August 7th at 7 p.m. CST. Doesn't matter. You'll get the distribution, and then it'll be available, I believe, until the end of September. So you have plenty of time to redeem the shiny Pokemon once the shiny Pokemon are available. And then after Chien-Pao rotates, that will be, I believe, Ting-Lu will be next, and we'll do another video for Ting-Lu. Before we get into the actual cool thing I did in this video, I just want to talk about Iron Hands, I guess. Prior to this raid coming out, when I ran the calcs, prior to knowing Chien-Pao's moveset, I told everyone I think Iron Hands would be fine, and I don't see how Iron Hands would lose. Now, Chien-Pao does have Haze, which I figured it would have, because it's like the only thing that really makes it kind of interesting based off its moveset. But if you don't know what Haze does, is it clears not only Chien-Pao's stats, but it clears everyone else's stats, both good and bad. It resets everything to 0, and it does this 3 times on top of doing a player stat reset, which I guess you could consider also a haze. So it will haze at 93%, which is probably around like between turn 2 and turn 3. And then it will haze again at 70, and then it will haze again at 35, and then it will player reset around 65. So what this ultimately means is I think Game Freak was not wanting people to do like iron defense body press, or not wanting people to do belly drum, or worried about like acid spray. It just kind of makes the raid a little annoying. It's still a relatively easy raid, I think, for both solo players and for group players, maybe even more so than the last 5-star shiny raid we just did. Originally suggested Iron Hands before this raid was even announced is because, one, there wasn't really any moves that could really destroy Iron Hands, on top of Iron Hands having an attack stat of 140 and like a crazy high HP stat. You could use the Iron Hands build I made like 2 years ago, which is the critical hit Iron Hands, which is instead of holding Shell Bell or Big Root or Muscle Band or Booster Energy, whatever people were giving Iron Hands, I told people that they should put Scope Lens on Iron Hands, and then when you use Focus Energy, that means every time you use Drain Punch, it will always be a critical hit, which will not only do more damage, but it'll break through stat increases, and it will also, because it's doing more damage, get you more health back. So that Iron Hands works great in both group and solo play. On top of that, Iron Hands gets access to Electric Terrain, so that will boost your attack stat even more for 5 turns because of its ability. And so Haze does not remove Focus Energy, and Haze does not remove Electric Terrain, so you don't even need to Belly Drum, you don't need a Swords Dance. Ultimately, you're just Focus Energy, you're punching until you get to Terra. Once you Terrasilize, you can Electric Terrain, and then your next 5 Terra punches will do even more damage because of your ability activating. And if you're standing next to other Iron Hands, you'll activate their abilities as well, so they do more damage. And then you don't have to worry about Haze. And the only thing you would have to really worry about with Iron Hands is just being slow. And so there's a possibility you can get flinched with that, but that's not even that big of a deal. It's just annoying. If anything, it's just okay, I'll hit the same button in the next turn. The other Pokemon that I think is really good for both group raids and if you already have it built is Zamazenta. I don't think you need Shell Bell. You can just do the Dauntless Shield, which will give you more defense and whatever else. It just makes Zamazenta even better. But ultimately, if you're playing by yourself, you just hit the move body press over and over. And if you're playing with a team, you can just open up with a Reflect, so your team has protection for the first 5 turns, which Haze does not remove Reflect. And then you just Reflect once, and then you just body press. And that's pretty much it. So I think those 2 Pokemon work great. I did a bunch of those with that. But a more interesting set of studies, I don't even know if I would call this a study. What I did is I randomly came across a TikTok with somebody suggesting a Poliwrath, saying that Poliwrath was great because it resists a lot of things, which is true, it does. But they suggested putting Metronome on Poliwrath with having Poliwrath use Drain Punch. And if I know anything about Gen 1 Pokemon, I know a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon have really bad stats, and there has been a power creep over the last 30-some years of Pokemon. So I thought to myself, this can't possibly be the best Drain Punch Metronome Pokemon. Spoiler, it's not. Poliwrath's attack stat is 95. I don't even think the base 70 speed lets it outspeed Wo-Chien. No, I think it can outspeed. I don't think it lets it outspeed Chien-Pao. So I think you still run into the flinching problem unless you invest in speed. That leads to what would be the best Drain Punch Pokemon with Metronome. And I guess you could probably stop here and say Iron Hands. I think because Iron Hands has 140 attack stat, it doesn't really get much higher than that. But there is a Pokemon that actually kind of does a little bit more damage if we're not taking in account that Iron Hands would have to set electric terrain in order to do more damage in this Pokemon, which is Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr also has an attack stat of 140, and also has the same flaw as Iron Hands of being very slow. But what it gets that Iron Hands doesn't get is Iron Fist. That means that every Drain Punch will do 20% more damage when you use it. And then on top of that, the Metronome will go the first. If you don't know how Metronome works, it means when you use the same move over and over, it does more damage every turn. So the first turn, it doesn't do any. And the second turn, 20. And then 40, 60, 80, and then ideally at the end, your Drain Punch should be doing double the amount of damage on turn 5 than it was on turn 0. So that's how Metronome and Drain Punch work together. Obviously, you're hitting harder every turn, and then you're getting more health back. And Iron Fist stacks with that, which means that even though both Conkeldurr and Iron Hands do 140, both Conkeldurr and Iron Hands have 140 attack, Drain Punch gets a 20% boost with Iron Fist. Therefore, ideally, Conkeldurr would out DPS Iron Hands without needing to set electric terrain, which would take 1 full turn and would wear off because most of these defeats need about 6 to 7 turns to do. That being said, I think Iron Hands works just fine. As you can see, which should already be on screen, you can see that I'm using 2 different Conkeldurrs. One has the Guts ability. So Guts will activate when a Pokemon is paralyzed, poisoned, or burned. And in this case, we're doing Burn because normally Burn would have your attack stat, but it doesn't do that for a Pokemon with Guts. So instead, when a Pokemon is burned with Guts, their attack goes up by 50%. So the first test on the top is Conkeldurr with Guts, meaning every single Drain Punch would be 50% stronger. Would that out DPS a Iron Fist Conkeldurr with Metronome, which would have to slowly build up between the 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Which one would actually go faster? Spoiler, it is Iron Fist. So that was one of the tests we did. The other thing just to note of the 2 Conkeldurrs on the top is they actually both get flinched. Again, another spoiler here is the Guts Conkeldurr is the slowest out of these 4 that we've put to... I did more than this, but I thought these were the 4 interesting ones. The Guts Conkeldurr ended up being the slowest out of the 4 on screen. And then the Iron Fist Conkeldurr, spoiler, ends up being the fastest of the 4 on screen. Even being flinched, it ends up being faster. And then below that, we have a Ceruledge, which has an attack stat of 125. So 15 below Conkeldurr. It doesn't have that 20% increase because of Iron Fist. But we did give it Metronome, and instead of using Drain Punch, we're using its signature move, Bitter Blade. And while Ceruledge ends up being second in this race of who can defeat Chien-Pao faster, if Conkeldurr didn't get flinched, Conkeldurr would have been a lot faster, like a full turn faster than Ceruledge. Ceruledge does have some EVs in speed. It has actually, by putting 100 EVs into speed, you actually outspeed Chien-Pao, so you can't get flinched at all, which you don't really need the HP for, since Bitter Blade is going to get stronger every turn and you're going to get your health back. The caveat here is that if Chien-Pao does get a critical hit crunch, there is about a 40% chance that you get one shot, no matter if you have full health or not. So even if you had max HP and max attack, a critical hit crunch would still have a chance to one-shot you. Conkeldurr, the Iron Fist Conkeldurr is one, not only safer, but two, faster even while getting flinched. I guess I could have redone these fights over to not get flinched, but I think realistically, if you're using Conkeldurr or you're using Iron Hands, you're probably going to get like flinched once or twice. But knowing that even if you got flinched, it's faster than Ceruledge, I think that's good information to know. And then finally, in the lower corner, we have Koraidon, which Collision Course gets is one, stronger than Drain Punch, but two, gets an increase in attack because of Sun being active and then Sun increasing Koraidon's attack stat. So Collision Course on paper does double the damage of what Drain Punch can do without needing the Metronome to build it up, but you would have to run Shell Bell in order to get health back, because obviously Drain Punch gets health back naturally. Even with Koraidon fainting, it does do relatively okay, but it is still not faster than Conkeldurr with Iron Fist and Drain Punch. So there's a lot of Pokemon that can get Drain Punch, but there's not a lot of Pokemon that have an attack stat of 140 like Conkeldurr, on top of the Iron the Iron Fist boost of increasing that by another 20%. So all of these Pokemon are adamant. Besides the Ceruledge, 252 HP, 252 attack. Ceruledge just has a little bit of speed investment, so it never gets flinched. I think maybe don't use Koraidon, because I believe Icicle Sphere has like a 70% chance. Icicle Sphere can do up to 70% of your HP bar, which is probably not good for randoms. If you are playing online with other people and somebody sets Sun, Ceruledge would definitely go a lot faster if somebody sets Sun for Ceruledge, that's for sure. On the side of like Conkeldurr, I don't think there's anything else that can really boost Conkeldurr that doesn't like get cleared by haze. But if you're thinking of like this in the future, which is the takeaway, there are combinations of both using the same move over and over with Metronome, but also just Pokemon stats, 140 being very, very high for an attack stat. And then the abilities also matter, right? Like Ceruledge's ability doesn't provide any benefit here. I just thought it was a really interesting test. If you wanted to grind out Chien-Pao, I can't even say Chien-Pao's name anymore. If you want to grind out Chien-Pao by yourself, it does seem, after testing multiple Pokemon, like I said, I only showed 4 here, but we tested a whole bunch, that just Conkeldurr would be the fastest if you are doing this by yourself and you're just wanting to grind Herba Mystica. But if you already have like a Iron Hands or a Zamazenta or whatever other Pokemon you have built, it would still get the job done, obviously. But if time is important to you and you're saving a full minute or a full 2 minutes for every clear, obviously that adds up, especially if you're just grinding Herba Mystica. So sorry this video was late. I hope it was interesting. I probably could throw numbers on the screen, but I think you can, I don't know, the 4-up I thought was kind of cool of seeing how this works. So anyways, I will hopefully be a little bit faster on the next video when Ting Lu comes out. But thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.